Hey, I'm Ollie at Techible, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Framework Laptop V2 with the 12th generation processor. I've just got it through in the post, so let's open it up and take a look. This has literally come straight through the door. I have opened that just for ease of use, but let's just get straight into the box. Oh, and another box, fairly minimal on the branding. Firstly, I suppose a little bit about Framework, for those who don't know. So Framework is a company based out in the US. They set up a few years ago with the aim of reducing wastage in computers and computer parts and general kind of consumer electronics. Now, for some of the people who've seen a few videos on this channel, you'll know it's something that I care about quite a lot.
And that's why I'm really interested in Framework. They want to make modular consumer technology, starting with laptops.
So yeah, this is their second laptop, and it's made a few positive changes from the first one. Also, it's been reported a few issues around the hinge that's been fixed. We'll take a look at that, and as well as the touchpad. And yeah, before I get into this, there's been a huge amount of buzz around the Framework laptop because obviously at the moment with what's going on with the right to repair movement and kind of how fiercely a lot of tech giants are fighting against that, what Framework are doing is really different and I believe really good. And other kind of tech YouTubers, really big players like Linus Tech Tips, I think Linus is actually an investor in this product because he believes in it so much. I think what they're doing is fantastic. So let's get inside the box. Oh, some nice art in there. Ooh. Ooh. No, nothing under there. Some stickers which are very papery. I'm not sure how long they would last getting any water on them. Yeah, I mean, there's a little guidebook there. Maybe we'll look at that in a bit. And yeah, this is the screwdriver because this is the DIY edition. It doesn't come with an SSD or RAM or even a working operating system. So I'm gonna have to take this apart and build it a little bit later. So there's nothing else in here. I mean, I think that the cardboard and paper packaging is great. It's great that it's reducing additional plastic. Maybe a little bit less of a premium experience than Apple, but you know, they're new players to the game, so I think we can let them off for that. Getting into the laptop itself, initial impressions, it feels pretty good. So that's a nice anodized aluminium, not quite Apple level anodized aluminium, but it's quite pleasant. And then you've got a slightly reflective black Framework logo on the top. And then on the back, we've got some interesting things here. So as I said, this is the DIY edition. This is the cheapest model you can get from Framework, and it's pretty much a do-it-yourself kind of device. I mean, it is DIY. So what you have to do then with the DIY laptop, you need a few things. Firstly, you're going to need at least 4 of these, the adapters. Now, one of the great things about the Framework laptop, and in kind of true modularity spirit, you can plug and play your own I/O, which is kind of fantastic. I'm pretty sure this is going to be plasticless again, but it's good that it's all kind of cardboard, but it is a bit tough. Okay, so this one is a USB-A, and as you can see there, it's a tiny module, and it's pretty simple really. All it is a piece of plastic with a USB-A in there, and then a USB-C, which will plug into the USB-C interface into the computer. It's kind of a very simple solution when you think about it. There were some problems in the V1 that were caused by this system because basically, when you plug in something with a USB-C, sometimes, or any USB for that matter, sometimes the computer will think that it needs power to drive whatever is currently in the USB-C, and it will cause a drain on the battery. So that was happening in V1. Apparently, this is something Framework have fixed with some BIOS updates, but we'll test that at another point. Right, so I need to open these. Let's maybe give it some movie magic. So as I said before, this doesn't come with an SSD or RAM, which is why I have here my Western Digital Black 1TB SSD. I must admit there was a bit of a premium on Framework's website to buy this with the laptop. I think this was going for about 130, 140 pounds, dollars. Whereas I picked this up for closer to 79, so a pretty big discount. And yeah, some gaming RAM, because I'm not intending to game on this, but everyone knows gaming RAM is faster. But actually it does allow people to go out and see if they can get a good deal, and also to customize the device for their use case. Now all of this today, including the shipping, cost me £940, so about $1,100, something like that. But it is worth noting that the laptop itself is $819 in the US and £819 in the UK, and kind of floating around that price internationally. And also, as I say, these things here, they can sometimes be a little cheaper or more expensive. And although I joke about this being gaming RAM, so it's going to be faster, it was kind of funny really, when I was looking for the SSD and the RAM for this laptop, I did find that the no-name brands, or even less well-known brands like Integral or Crucial were only a couple of pounds/dollars cheaper than both of these. So if I've got the choice, I'm probably going to go for the more recognized brand. But if you're really on a shoestring budget, there were things a little bit cheaper, meaning you could get this whole package for a little bit cheaper. So I'm not going to install these today because I'm going to do that on another video where I'm planning to install the hardware, but also install Linux. I've never used Linux, so that's going to be a pretty interesting experience for me. But I thought it would be fun with the ultimate DIY laptop to also put on a DIY OS. I'm sure it won't be, but you can have hope. So I haven't actually opened the laptop up yet, so let's do that. In the inside, ooh, one hand opening, very nice. Oh, you can already see that's a very slightly wobbly screen, which I was under the impression that the hinge had been fixed. I suppose it's not too bad when you're typing. It's only really when you move it, but it does shift a little bit when you move it. But I mean, first impressions, the keyboard looks pretty good. It's got decent travel actually. You've got a full function key row, albeit half size, but that'll do everything it needs to do. But yeah, that keyboard feels pretty good actually. I'd say it's not quite at the level of a MacBook, but it's certainly at least as good as a HP or Lenovo laptop, maybe even a little bit better. Kind of like the soft thud, and there's definitely a lot of travel in there. They're not too wiggly either. I'm doing the wiggle test. Minimum wiggle. Oh, that spacebar though. Such a hard thing to get a spacebar right. My props to anyone who does it. So in the top right you have a fingerprint sensor, which obviously is not functioning at the moment. In terms of the deck, it's pretty much the same deck as on the outside, that anodized aluminium. And I've got to say actually, the touchpad is pretty good. That's actually a pretty good non-Apple touchpad. You're even getting some click right in the top corners there, which is really great for a Windows touchpad. Usually, I kind of think the cutoff is maybe about there, but the click's great in the bottom. Ooh, a little tough in the top, but I mean, it's doing it. In terms of the deck flex, there is a little bit like right there, you can see it, but to be honest, like if I was typing, I really have to push down, Like if I'm just typing generally on this, I don't really think I'd notice anything at all. So this is a 3x2, slightly more than 1440p screen. It's supposed to be quite bright. I think it's 400 nits brightness, so about the same as the M1 MacBook Air. And I'll be sure to test that out when I actually get an OS on this thing and I can boot it up and try it out. So you've got a 1080p camera at the top. I'll also want to try that as well as a hardware microphone and camera switch, which is pretty great because we are all more mindful of our privacy nowadays, and I do prefer having a hard switch where possible. So going back to the bottom, the point of these expansion cards is that they are hot swappable, but also you can customize your laptop to whatever your needs are. Now, I've got here a micro SD card reader, which, to be fair, you don't get in a huge amount of laptops. And if I'm correct, is that it? It's pretty good. And by the way, you will notice on all of these, the expansion card, including the laptop itself at certain points and inside the laptop, which we'll see in the next video, you'll see these little QR codes. These QR codes actually direct you to guides on Framework's website to help you install or just understand what's going on with the particular piece of hardware you're looking at. So it could be certain requirements, it could be certain standards, or it might be for something like the battery or the motherboard, a lot of technical standards that you want to know before you go in and play around with it. So let's put my HDMI on that side, and let's go with a USB-C and a USB-A, go on. I probably wouldn't use this config, but just to show you. Okay, so that's kind of what the laptop would look like if I was using it day to day. And I mean, you have to say the expansion cards are a really great solution there because you can't really tell the difference. I mean, if you hadn't seen them not in the slots, you'd just think it was some kind of weird design choice, like it doesn't immediately stand out. So yeah, I think the laptop feels good in the hands. I would say it's not quite MacBook quality. There's a certain kind of solidness to MacBook products, but it's really close. I mean, if I take my M1 MacBook Air here, it's close. They've both got the kind of same reassuring weight. I actually think the Framework is very slightly lighter, but that's probably a good thing. And they're not dissimilar in terms of size and width. If anything, I think the Framework laptop's very slightly smaller footprint. Oh, okay, maybe a little bit thicker, a bit of a chunky boy. It's definitely thicker on the sides. I would say just between the two that the M1 MacBook Air is very, very slightly just that little bit more solid. But I would say that the Framework laptop is really, really good. If I was comparing it to like a Lenovo Yoga Slim or a HP Envy, I would say this is very slightly just a bit more MacBook feeling. So to be honest, I'm glad this looks and feels as good as it does. And the reason for that is a theory I have, which is based on a really fundamental household item, and I think it really underlines people's views towards wastage, and that's toilet paper. No, my theory isn't rush out and buy toilet paper the moment there's a global pandemic. That would be crazy, right? No, my theory about toilet paper is quite simple. Toilet paper intrinsically is wastage, right? It's something you use once, you throw it away. It's not really recyclable, though I think they try. Point being, toilet paper is wasteful, and yet we still use it. Now, it might not surprise you to learn that alternatives to toilet paper actually come out all of the time. There's loads of businesses trying to get into the eco-friendly toilet paper business. The problem is, all of that eco-friendly toilet paper made from bamboo stalks and corn husks and whatever you want to think about, it does not feel good on your bum. And the fact is, for the consumer, for at least 99% of consumers, people make their mind up based on the experience they get for the price they pay. Eco-friendly toilet paper is usually a worse experience and more expensive. You're not going to replace toilet paper with a substitute until you have a substitute which gives people pretty much exactly the same experience or better, and it's at least the same price or cheaper. And that's kind of Framework's whole deal. You can say to someone, this is a far more eco-friendly laptop with far less wastage, and it's going to be much better for the environment. But it's going to be a really hard sell if it's significantly worse than what people can get elsewhere on the market. Companies have been telling us for years that, wow, it's just impossible to make a sleek, sexy device which is also easily repairable. I mean, that's kind of been Apple's whole mission statement for the last 10 years. But this is what Framework are looking to do. And I've got to admit, just from a first kind of look, it looks pretty great. Not only does it look and feel just like its competitors, the price is really good as well. So as I said, I paid just under £950 for this device, and if you were buying from the US, it would be about the same price as well. Now, when you consider that this has the same i5 processor as the new Dell XPS Plus, and because it's highly modular, I can go in there and put in my own RAM and my own SSD, I can build a computer with the same specs as a $1,500 Dell XPS laptop for over $500 less than that. And sure, look, the Dell XPS Plus, it's a very premium product. It's going to have a few more bells and whistles on it than this. But just conceptually, right, that's fantastic value. And that's not the only cool thing about the Framework laptop. So as I've mentioned already, this is the V2. If you did buy a V1, you can buy the 12th generation motherboard, and it fits perfectly within the first generation Framework laptop. And that's so cool. It can pretty much be the last laptop you ever own. I mean, you could end up in a bit of a Ship of Theseus situation where you replace so many parts of the laptop that at some point you kind of have a whole new laptop. The point is, that's a lot better than having a laptop for 2 years and deciding, this doesn't do it for me anymore, I'm gonna throw it away and go and buy a brand new one. There is one quick thing to note. Okay, sure, this whole laptop is modular and you can grab things like RAM and the SSD off Amazon or from your local Best Buy or whatever. But fundamentally, all of these parts are still bespoke from Framework. So you are beholden to how they manage that inventory going forward, and let's be honest, Framework is a very young company and a lot of startups do fail. So there is the possibility that they go out of business and you won't be able to keep getting those parts for your Framework laptop. But I'll be honest, I don't really care. Fundamentally, this is still actually a cheaper laptop than you could go around and get a Dell XPS right now. And as I've already talked about, it looks and feels just as good, if not slightly better than that laptop. The average amount of time you might own a laptop is maybe 2 or 3 years, depending on your use case, maybe a little bit more if you're particularly good to it and you don't do anything too strenuous. If I get 2 or 3 years out of this laptop at this price point, I think that's pretty good going. And if Framework keeps going in the direction that we want it to go in, it just means that the dream is going to live on and we're going to be able to have that one laptop that lasts forever. So in summary, look, not only is the Framework laptop a good laptop in its own merit, but also what this company is trying to do is fantastic. And I think it should be supported. And even if all the things they want to do don't quite come off, in the absolute worst case scenario, it's still a pretty good deal for a laptop that you're going to get a few years out of. So that's enough about the Framework laptop for today. As I said, in another video, I'm going to install the RAM, SSD, and an OS, so I can actually turn this thing on and get it working and start testing it. Please subscribe for that, and if you like this video, please give us a like. I just want to say I got to 500 subscribers recently, and It's really great. I know that's like nothing numbers and, you know, that's a drop in the ocean, but for someone who thought no one would watch his videos, to get 10 videos in and had 500 subscribers, I'm really, really grateful. So thank you so much for the support, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.